Hello everybody, my name is Dan Frampton. I'm a talented artist. This is Munchie the Nutcracker. He's a genius influencer, and together we are the last real band. We are the Dean Project, and welcome to the Dean Project Show. And today on the Dean Project Show, I thought I'd do something a little bit different, you know? I was challenged the other week. I was asked to do a show in which I had to write fan fiction. Now, fan fiction is a genre that I haven't ever dipped my toes into, but I thought, you know, I might as well give her a go, you know what I'm talking about? So I'm going to read that story to you today, folks, and it's called Fuck Bob Dylan. The year is 1975. Bob Dylan has just released his 15th studio album, Blood on the Tracks. While hanging out in New York, he heard of this interesting performer doing bad impressions and singing kids' songs to grizzled old bar patrons. He just had to see Andy Kaufman. And one day, eventually, like 3 months later, Dylan checked out a Kaufman gig. He sat in the back with a hoodie pulled up over his head, smoking a cigarette. He watched through thick, black sunglasses as a middle-aged hippie covered Mr. Tambourine Man. After the song was over, Dylan mumbled to the waiter, "Great tune." Dylan was butting out his cigarette when a large man came barreling onto the stage. He was wearing a suit that looked like it had been made from an old jizz-soaked college futon. It was Andy Kaufman doing his Vegas songman shtick, Tony Clifton. "Hi, I'm Tony Clifton. I'm the best and greatest songwriter in all of Vegas," Andy said. Dylan, now officially turned on, sank into his chair and excitedly gasped, "Oh boy." Clifton began to sing. "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray." Dylan is like full-on boner mode now, and Tony starts to take his act off stage. "You never know, dear." He stops at a table. Sitting there is a couple on a date. Tony asks the lady, "Have you ever been with a real man?" The dude on the date just throws a glass of water at Tony, and the audience let out a gasp. But Dylan knew that this was all part of the act, and it just made him so much hornier. It was now official. Bob Dylan was in love. Tony picked the song back up and kept sauntering through the crowd. "How much I love you." He stopped at Dylan's table and bent over. "So don't take my sunshine away." Dylan, having almost lost total control at this point, knew he had to leave before he blew his cover, and potentially his load. He hopped out to the street and ran inside a cab. For the next couple months, Bob Dylan would frequent Andy Kaufman shows. It was during these months that he would begin to work on his new record. He would go on to call it Desire. That part's actually real. Bob would officially meet Andy in an NBC green room when they were both booked to be on the same show. It was the debut of this ambitious new live sketch show called Saturday Night Live. Backstage was crazy, but Bob was just sat there on the armrest of the sofa casually talking to his drummer. But Andy busts in. He looks like he's looking for someone. He's asking everyone, "Have you seen Bob? Have you seen Bob? Have you seen Bob? Have you seen Bob?" Eventually, Gilda Radner just points over to Bob Dylan. "That's an excellent disguise. He looks just like Bob Dylan," Andy Kaufman says. Gilda just rolls her eyes. Andy rushes over to Bob. "I didn't even recognize you, Bob. You look so much like Bob Dylan," Andy says as he pulls at Bob's curly hair. "How did you do this hair thing? Wow." Dylan, looking totally confused, just bursts out, I fucking love you, man." Andy replies, "Shut up, Zmuda." Dylan's heart totally breaks a little when he realizes Andy thinks that he's his writing partner, Bob Zmuda, and not the real Bob Dylan, who is in real love with the real Andy Kaufman. Just then, the real Bob Zmuda comes walking in, and Andy just plays it off like nothing has happened. "Bob, I've been looking for you," he says. "I have some ideas." They leave without even acknowledging Bob Dylan. That's Bob fucking Dylan. Just before the show was set to go live, Lorne Michaels gathered all the performers to give one final bullshit speech. And when he was done, Andy goes over to Dylan and says, "You know, I'd love to be all along your watchtower." Dylan just faints instantly. Live from New York, it's Saturday night. The show begins. A few minutes in, Andy comes out to perform Dylan's favorite bit, It's the Mighty Mouse one. Unfortunately, poor Bobby Dills was too out of it to enjoy it. In fact, he felt he was too out of it to even perform that evening. So, instead, he just went out to the street and hopped inside a cab. The following weeks have Dylan out on tour. He's having crappy show after crappy show after crappy show. He can't sleep, and all he can think about is what Andy Kaufman can do all along his watchtower. His tour eventually brings him to LA. He plays the entire gig with his back to the audience. Had he turned around, he would have seen Andy Kaufman in the front row wearing nothing but a diaper and a turban. Andy was now the one swooning. He had a mission. A mission to fuck Bob Dylan. And it was going to happen tonight. Later, when Bob Dylan is entering his tour bus, he is shocked to find that Andy was already there waiting for him. "Hi, Bobby," Andy says. He wraps his arm around Bob's neck. The door to the tour bus closes. Bob lays on the lower bunk, and Andy lets out a huge whistle. In walk 3 little people dressed as racehorse jockeys. It was a different time. A sword swallower comes in next. By this point, Andy is completely nude and singing the Happy Days theme song. Monday, Tuesday. Dylan is frozen. Andy screams, "Everyone, shut up! I'm about to serenade the shit out of Bob fucking Dylan." He busts into Rosemarie by Slim Whitman, but replaces Rosemarie with, "Oh, Bobby, Bob Dylan, I love you. I'm always dreaming of you. No matter what I do, I can't forget you. Sometimes I wish that I never met you. And yet if I should lose you, 'twould mean my very life to me. Of all the queens that ever lived, I choose you to rule me, my Bobby, Bob Dylan." The end. All right, thank you guys for watching that fan fiction video. And here's where I plug things, okay? This is the end of the video. This is where the plugs happen, all right? There's merch that you can buy merch. There'll be a link. I'm also pretty active on Twitter. Also, again, there'll be a link. I do Instagram things too, pictures and whatnot. Also, there will be a link in the description and at the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I've been Dan. That's been Munchie. The Dean Project. Forever and ever, never, 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 never. Thank you. That's been stupid.